So, David, welcome to the show. Fresh off a win at SRO. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me. Yes, I'm literally resting still. Now I will get back to training very soon, but still resting.
Nice. So, do you make sure after a race that you have a couple of days with no racing whatsoever, or does resting actually involve a little bit of racing?
So yeah, I had a couple of days of resting. I wanted to get back on the sim. I actually did some laps, but nothing, let's say, serious because I wanted still to get the energies to get the
Hmm.
training done for Spa.
So, when you're resting but you're also racing, do you race the same titles, or do you race something different just for a bit of fun?
Well, when I'm using the simulator, it's usually still ACC, so the one that I use for the SRO. But
Hmm.
usually I also play other video games. Like lately, I'm playing a lot of GP bikes. I don't know if you know it. It's literally a
Nice.
simulator
Yeah,
of
yeah.
bikes, which is even harder than ACC, I think.
Really interesting. Is there an esports scene for bikes? I've not seen much about it.
Well, MotoGP, yes, but this title in particular, no, there is just minor categories. But like handling a bike with a controller, I think it's normal
Mm.
that it's harder than driving a car with a wheel, no?
You need to put some pressure on Fanatec and Simucube and Acetec to bring out like a proper bike simulator. You probably lean in and out of the corners.
Well, it would be awesome. I think it would be something I would definitely try.
Yeah, that would be cool. I feel like it would take up quite a lot of space in the bedroom, I think, but that would be a pretty nuts simulator to have. Um, so last weekend, obviously, we spoke to you on the podcast. We were at Paul Ricard for the SRO Sim Pro series, and you absolutely smashed it. P1, first win of the series. Obviously, we're only into the second race. Tell us about the weekend from your perspective as a Lamborghini driver.
Well, it was a very nice weekend. Of course, I was coming from let's say a not ideal race in the sprint, where I was actually fighting for P1, but I had a very unfortunate accident. So I knew coming into this weekend that I had the possibility to win for sure because the car was very competitive. Uh, Looking at the free practice, I saw that still the car was again competitive like in the sprint, even if there was some adjustments in the BOP. But then in the qualifying, I wasn't really comfortable because at the end of the session I was P4. I knew I could do more. But then in the race, like when I start, let's say second row, third row, I know that something good can happen. It happened all the time in F1 esports as well. When I was literally starting almost all the races in P4, P3, or P5. So I knew that I could still get the win, and after a very tough race, I got it. So it was very, very, very satisfying.
So would you say it's fair to assume then that your race pace is a strength versus your quali pace?
I wouldn't say that. I would just say that the race is a completely different session. Like in qualifying, it's
Mm,
all on you. You just have to do that lap, and you have, let's say, also to hope for the other people to the other drivers to not set a very nice lap time. But in the race, like you are together with other cars, so anything can happen, and it's not something that can happen in qualifying because qualifying, all that can happen, maybe you just get
mm.
your lap uh, ruined by another driver for traffic, for example. But in the race, it's a completely different thing. Many things can happen, and so you go into the race knowing that even starting from the back, still something can happen, and you still can get the win.
Yeah, and I suppose you've had a lot of experience now at these well, LAN events and virtual events, but racing at this level. I guess you must get used to a certain standard for other drivers, right? And I imagine you've probably gotten to know a lot of the drivers, and this is kind of one of the benefits that you have, I guess, as a pro esports driver, being able to drive with the same people over and over again. You actually learn the characters that you're racing against, and you can really build that into a race strategy. Whereas a lot of people can't do that if they're playing online because they're playing against different people each time, so they never know who they're driving against. do you do much research, or do you just kind of do you take into account what you already know about these other drivers when you're planning a race strategy?
Well, this is a nice thing because I usually don't do research, but these people that I race on site, most likely I already raced against them in some online races. So some of them
Mm,
I already know them. Others I didn't have any race with them. But surely knowing the drivers, knowing how they handle the race, like how they want to fight, what they want to do in the race if they are in front of you or behind you, surely can help you. And it's something that
mm.
it happens also in the online races, but of course when you are on site, that certain person is there. So for example, if you make a crash with him, you know that after the race you will have to get up and go face to face with him, and it's not that you just turn off your PC and just go to sleep. So it's a factor that I like a lot, because also, for example, when I was competing in other competitions, uh, every time you go side by side, it comes in your mind that that person is right next to you, and you have to behave, because otherwise, of course, if you don't want to have a discussion, you have to behave. And so it's a thing that plays a very good role in sim racing, in my opinion.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you think about, Formula One or SRO, even they, when they have a crash, let's say they bump into somebody on the track, or they do a dive bomb, and it's all a bit, "Ugh, probably shouldn't have done that." At the end of the race, they're going to go back into their garage in their little bubble in their own hospitality area, so they might not actually bump into people. So even on the F1 grid, like, you see little bits on Drive to Survive, however realistic that is, of the drivers talking to each other about what has happened. But actually, they're kind of cocooned in this little safety bubble of their own team. Whereas with the SRO paddock, and I wonder if it was the same with F1, you're as soon as you get up from the rig, you're next to the person that you've been driving with. Like, you're in that same room. Like, it's not a big place, and you're gonna be bumping into people. You're gonna see each other. You're gonna be making eye contact with them and their team and the people that have come to support that team. Like, does that put a certain pressure on, I guess, to behave even better than perhaps a real world driver would?
Yeah, yeah, it does definitely. And answering to your question, yeah, also in F1, it's like this. Like F1 esports, we literally at the same structure of the, let's say, the arena. So every time, like, you get up from the sim, you have to face literally every driver, unless you just wait in the sim and wait for everyone to go away. You have to face
A bit
other
odd.
drivers, and so, and I think yes, it definitely puts you pressure, because as I said before, it's not an online race where, like, you
Mm,
can just switch off the PC, go away, do not face anyone. You know that you have to do certain things on site. You cannot do whatever you want to do and just get away with it. So it's, as I said, it's something that comes in your mind when you are in the race, when you are actually in the track, and puts you in a situation where, of course, you want to behave.
mm. And I suppose you have an element now of reputation, because
Yeah.
David Tonizza, a lot of sim racers will know that name. They'll know that David Tonizza is an esports driver, and they'll see you racing in various series and start to build up a picture of what you're like as a racer. So you have genuine reputation, and of course, you race for Ferrari, you've raced for Lamborghini, so you have to uphold that level of reputation that most sim racers would never have to consider at all. They have a username essentially on an online lobby, for example. Like, there is really no genuine reputation that they're trying to protect. Whereas you, when you're racing, you have to be conscious of that, almost from like a marketing point of view, right?
Yeah, of course. This is another thing, for example, like I will give you a quick example. Like after the race in Paul Ricard, after we all saw that I had a very tricky fight with the Ferrari driver. As soon as the race finished, of course, I went to the podium. I did everything I was requested to do, and then immediately I went outside the arena to go and look for that driver, to have a discussion, to just talk. And
Mm,
I wanted to ask him his point of view, what happened from his side, from my side, what he thought about the fight that we had and everything, you know. And this is also part of the job, let's say, because you know, just
Mm,
getting up from the scene after, for example, an accident, going away without even saying, without even apologizing to the driver, it's something that you have to take into account. And in my opinion, it's something that everyone should respect, because again, we are not racing online in our room. We are all
mm.
racing together in the same arena. We have to respect ourselves, and part of that is also apologizing when it's needed.
Yeah. What was it like having that battle with your old team? Did the fact that it was Ferrari, did it factor into your mind at all, like that it was Ferrari, and you know the guys over there, and everyone knows that it's, you know, it's the classic thing, isn't it, when a footballer changes from one team to another and they're like, they score against their old team, it's like a thing that people care about. Like, did it factor into your mind when you were racing?
No, 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 not at all. Also because, well, especially because I had a very nice experience there in Ferrari with everyone. It was literally the best, one of the best experience that I had in my life. So of course, when it gets to this, like fighting with my old team, I don't have anything against them. It's like any other team in the any other team driver or car
Mm.
in the track. So nothing special against them. It's literally just fighting like anyone else.
Yeah. So, like for you personally, having I want to kind of go back now. I want to go back to the very start and learn your journey, how this happened for you, because you know at you're racing for Lamborghini now. Before it was Ferrari. I imagine being a sim racer, like, allowed through the gates of the sacred Maranello must have been an incredible feeling. And let's build up to that, but let's start right at the beginning. Tell us your first interaction or experience of any kind of racing game. How did it start for you? How did this passion develop?
So I would say that my father gave me the passion for motorsport, first of all, because it's where everything started. So when I was a kid, together with my brother, we tried many things. Like we tried bikes, we tried go-karts, we tried as well quad bikes. So our dad literally gave us all the choices, literally. We decided to stick with cards, and me and my brother, we raced for like 3 years, 4 years, let's say, if I remember correctly. But then, of course, you know, when you grow up, you have to switch to the, you know, to another category. You have to buy a new card. Everything becomes more
Mm,
expensive. So, like, literally every driver that doesn't, you know, have all that availability of money, you just stop. So that was the moment where I got to know sim racing, because back at the time, on the weekends I was racing with the cars, and then in the weekends where I didn't have any race, I was playing video games, like for example the Formula One games. So I already also had the passion for video games. So when everything, let's say, stopped with the real life racing, I literally combined these two things, and I started to race on the simulators. I got to know like simulators. Like at the start, I didn't know that it was possible to have championships and everything. So
mm.
there was a certain time where I got invited in one of these minor championships, and it was there when I discovered this whole new world. And then, like everyone else, I just started like as a hobby. I was having fun doing it. Then my dad started to buy more expensive equipments. Like he started buying me the first wheel. Then he's after like a couple of months, he bought another wheel as an upgrade. And you know, like always happens with the start of the sim racing career. And
So,
yeah.
did your sorry, your first championship then, was that on a controller?
Yeah, like my first ever race
Oh,
was on a
okay.
controller.
Wow.
So
And which championship was it?
it's called it's an F1 championship. It was a community called Formula Motorsport Drivers. It's an Italian community. So there, my first ever race was with a controller, And then the second race, I already had the wheel because I had so much fun. I went immediately to my
Hmm.
dad's room. I said, "Listen, it's extremely fun. I want to compete, like to have even more fun." So he didn't even think about it 1 second, and he immediately bought me the wheel. So the next race, I was already like, I already had the base equipment.
Hmm. So just for me and the other sim racing hardware nerds listening, can you please take us through your whole hardware journey? Like, which wheels did you start on? What did you upgrade to? What equipment have you got? Because that will fascinate everyone, basically me.
Okay. So first of all, I was not even racing on PC. I just had a PlayStation 4, so not even that
Hmm.
expensive. And my first, of course, controller was the PS4 controller. Then first wheel was the Logitech G29, which I always thought that it's the best wheel to buy at the start, because you literally get
Yeah.
immediately pedals and a nice wheel to start with. Then after that, I started to save up some money, and I bought a Trustmaster T300,
Nice.
which I had to replace almost immediately, because at the time I had a friend of mine who literally did the same. He switched from a G29 to a T300, but then he's like, he decided to switch again to Fanatec, because Fanatec at the time
Hmm.
wasn't very well known. It was literally just building up the brand. So he switched to this Fanatec, and he said to me, "Listen, come to my house, try it. It's very nice to drive with this wheel." I went there. He convinced me almost immediately. So after not even a month, I sold the wheel, and I bought this new one. Actually, I didn't sell the wheel. I gave it to my brother. Now thinking. So then I bought this Fanatec, and I stayed with that wheel for almost, like, I think 2 years, because in F1 Esports back at the time we were using the Fanatec CSL Elite. So I stayed with that
Mm.
wheel for quite a long time, and then I just switched to the Podium DD1 when I started getting into the ACC action in not in 2020, because 2020 I still had the CSL Elite, but 2021 I already had the Podium.
And that's what you use now.
Yeah, still what I use now, which is the one that we use also in the Fanatec Arena.
Right. Okay. Which obviously makes a lot of sense to be kind of like training as you race. And how about pedals?
Pedals, I still have the CSL Elites. I should take some V3 pedals, which are the one that we use in the Fanatec Arena. But so I use a Formula rig. It's not a GT. It's not a GT edition,
Hmm.
and because of that, it's quite tricky to put the V3 pedals into this rig. So at the moment, I don't want to change everything. So I'm just training with the CSL Elite pedals, which I think they are very, very, very nice and comfortable. Of course, it's not ideal when it comes to get into the arena and switch to different pedals, but at the moment, I'm happy like this.
So, final nerd question before we go back to that. We'll talk about the F1 Esports Series. The kind of the eternal question: ultra wide, triple screen,
Uh,
VR.
so VR, I tried it, and like, I respect every driver using it in a professional scene, like for example
Mm.
Malinowski, that we saw also on site. Like, I respect totally. I would never race with that, because after like 1 hour and 32 hours, like, my eyes are already bleeding. So I don't know how they do to train all these hours during the day and then also race. So to have fun, for me, VR is okay. To race, I don't really think so. Triple screen, ultra wide. I would say ultra wide, mainly because on every on-site event that I did, I always used ultra wides, and triple monitors. I never had them, mainly because of the space that I used
Mm.
to have in my room. So I always, prefer the ultra wide, because it's more simple. It also uses, I think, less, like, it requires less specifics for the PC. It's lighter,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
also, like, it takes less space into your room. So I think it's just better.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I've got my nerd fix for the episode. So let's talk about the F1 esports process. how did that happen for you? Like, was it always the plan? Was it something you just gave it a go? Like when the qualifiers happened online, talk to us about how you first approached F1 esports as a driver.
So the first time that I actually tried to qualify was in 2018. Before then, 2017, it was the year that I wanted to do a full championship on F1 in the community that I told you before, Formula Motorsport drivers. So in that year, I won the main championship there in that community. So I wanted to switch the year later, so in 2018, to a bigger league, which at the time was Apex Online Racing, which I don't know if now
Hmm.
they still organize a championship on F1.
Yeah, yeah, it's still going. The Grid Finder Sim Racing team races on AOR for their endurance series.
Perfect, perfect. So uh, did that championship where there were a lot of drivers from F1 Esports. I remember at the time there was Danny Beresnay, for example, even Brandon Lee. They were all doing this championship. I managed to win it, so I said, okay, next year I well, not next year, like at the end of the year, because it was 2018. I want to qualify. I want to try, even though I don't have that much of experience. I want to try. I went there. I qualified for the pro draft. I remember, but for me it was more or less like I already knew that no team would pick me because I didn't have a background. I didn't have anything. At that time I was still not prepared. So I went there in London. I remember we had a very nice trip, but eventually no team picked me. So the year after, I decided to
Oh, okay,
sorry,
yeah, there we
start
go.
again.
We're back.
So I had this very nice trip in London, but I already knew that no one would pick me. And when I came back, I said, okay, from now on, I need to practice. I need to win more races. I need to get myself to the point where at least one team wants me, to have me on their team. I did so. I did many championships during that year, and the year after, 2019, I qualified again. And at that time, I remember Ferrari wanted to join the F1 esports scene as well. So because I also won some other Italian championships, I think I made myself, I started to make some noise, let's say. And when I got there in London, they decided to pick me because I think they thought that I was the right person to pick, and I hope I was because I won the championship there in the first year. So I think it was the right choice. So this was all my journey to F1 esports. So like summing it up, everything started with minor leagues. Then I went for my first experience in F1 esports. Of course, didn't have any experience at all. So came back home, prepared myself for 1 year, and then got picked by Ferrari.
I mean, that's pretty dreamy, right? Getting picked by Ferrari, being part of Maranello, being part of the Ferrari esports team, and then winning in your first year. That must have been a hell of an experience, a feeling at the end.
It was indeed, because of course that year, like I said, okay, this is my first ever experience in like competitive, like extremely competitive sim racing. So I didn't expect anything. I just said, like my first year in the pro draft, I said, okay, I will just go into this championship. I don't know where I will end up. I just want to have fun and maybe get some very good results. But then in the first event, it already kicked off like we never expected that to happen. Like we went in the first event, boom, first race won, second race won, third race P3. Like we came back from London after the first event, first in the championship with almost 3 wins. And there we said, okay, no, we have to change our plans. Now we have to change everything. We need to win this championship. That's literally the mindset changed immediately after the first event.
How much does the rest of Ferrari take an interest in what you're doing in the esports scene? Do you get to speak to the other people within Ferrari, whether that be the road cars or the sport, like the F1 team, even like are other people kind of watching was happening. Sorry, when you were racing for Ferrari, did how involved did the whole organization get with it?
So we literally got involved more and more throughout the years. Of course, the first year, the team literally prepared himself very very late. I think it was late in June, where like they decided to get into the action in F1 esports. So of course, the
Mm,
first year we didn't have many activities together with the for example the F1 team, but we got to know the Ferrari Academy drivers. For example, we did some shooting
that's
with
cool.
them. We also got Mick Schumacher to see. I think it was the third or the fourth event there in London. So we had also very nice interview together before, like couple of minutes before the race, which was very nice. I like that a lot.
I
Uh,
bet.
yeah, of course. So, but then like the year later, like already 2020, we started to get more and more and more involved with activities together with the as well F1 drivers, and we also had that period of time where there was COVID, that
Mm,
was literally obligating everyone to stay at home. We got to know the Charles Leclerc, for example. We trained together for the virtual GPs. We helped him. We tried our best to help him,
that's
and
nuts.
also with the other Ferrari Driver Academy drivers. So it was, a process. At the start, of course, we were focused on the esports team and to get the results in the season. And then in 2020, where when we were more relaxed, we started to get more and more involved, which was very nice because it's not everywhere where you feel involved like this. Like we literally spend time with everyone in the team, even people working in the factory, because I also have some friends there that I met during some tours, and this is very nice and very interesting because of course you just don't get to know the people that work around you, but also the people working in the company for completely different things.
That I mean, that's very cool. As like, especially as an Italian, being able to be part of the fabric of something as iconic as Maranello, the fact that like esports and sim racing gave you that opportunity that you wouldn't have been able to get otherwise is nuts. I imagine when you're like 12 or 13 and you're gaming, and that is the classic thing of the teachers saying that you can't spend your whole life playing games. Like, well, actually, playing games is exactly how I've managed to become a part of, well, Ferrari back then and now Lamborghini. It's I imagine this is well beyond what you'd expected would come of that first championship you did on your controller.
Well, definitely no. I didn't expect that. I used to play a lot video games, so I was, kind of expecting to. My dream was to like compete in other esports games. I used to play a lot of first-person shooters, for example. So that was actually something that I was believing in. Like, if one day I would find myself in an arena. It was because of other games, not because of surely simulators, but it was definitely something that I did not expect.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine many people would expect to go from like racing games to working for an organization as massive as Ferrari and now Lamborghini. So let's move along the timeline then. So obviously, we all know that you've moved to Lamborghini now, and it'd be interesting to kind of discuss what that's like moving from one team to another as a driver, because it's this is still a fairly new sector of esports, so not many people will have experienced it, right? But just tell us about the journey through Ferrari over those what 3 years or 3 seasons, I suppose, with Ferrari. Like, how did you see things like progressing over those 3 years?
Well, the first year, of course, like I didn't expect anything. Like I just lived knowing that probably the next year there wouldn't be anything anymore because it was a new project, so I didn't expect
Mm,
anything. I didn't even expect it to keep on going. But after what happened in the F1 esports season in 2019, I saw the project like getting bigger and bigger. So the year later, unfortunately, because of COVID, we had to go back racing online, which was something that I
Of
didn't
course.
like at all. Uh, but we did many competitions. We even did some SRO already in 2020. So it was not just F1 anymore, and it's something that I think was crucial for my career, because already in 2020 I started, like, approaching the GT world. I saw that it was very very enjoying, and I kind of started to understand that I was almost enjoying more the GT side than
Mm.
the F1 side.
Why? What is it about GT racing that you enjoy more?
It's the thing is, well, mainly the software that we use, because ACC, it's fantastic, and it's the sim that I literally like the most. So mainly it was that, but also the racing itself. It's way more fun. Like with GT, even when you are side by side, you have to be very aggressive, and you have a lot of fun racing. With F1 cars, you just have to be careful literally everywhere. Every time you want to try and overtake, it's
Mm.
literally, it's a completely different thing. Not worse or better, it's just different.
Yeah.
So at the time, I saw that I was enjoying it very much, and but I kept, my main commitment was F1. In 2020, we saw that an online competition with F1 game was not possible, because we had many problems. The whole organization had problems. Like the software was lacking of reliability with the online races.
Mm.
So at that point, I convinced myself even more that the GT side was better for me. But still, again, 2021, we start a new season. The project keeps getting bigger and bigger, which was something very good. Also, we had new sponsors in the team, so many people investing in us. uh, there it was where I almost won the SRO sprint season. I literally lost it in the last race, which was very unfortunate. But then again, F1, we raced again online for another season, and at that time, I convinced myself that we were going to face problems again with the software. Uh, Luckily we didn't. Like we had some issues, but it wasn't that bad. uh, but the performance wasn't great, because at the end of the season, I kind of wanted to practice more for ACC compared to F1, but of course it was not the plan. So we kind of mixed the trainings together, and I think this resulted in a loss of the championship in SRO, and a not ideal performance in F1. So
Yeah.
the year later, I already kind of knew that it was going to be my last year in like as a F1 esports driver, like, because I
Yeah.
already wanted to, like, that was the year that I said, okay, I might want to switch to GT for my main commitment. And after 2022, I decided to do this move. I came back to Alesi Esports. Then I got involved with Lamborghini, and this year is literally my first ever year as a GT, let's say, esports driver, and not anymore as an F1 esports driver. Even though I still have some options for F1 esports, so mm, nothing takes out the possibility that I will be racing again in F1 esports this year. But of course, it won't be my main commitment.
No, and it would be interesting being a Lamborghini driver for F1 Esports.
Well, of course, we would have to, find agreements, all that
Hmm.
stuff that no one likes. But
Yeah, yeah.
I'm telling you that there is the possibility. I just don't know it yet. First of all, I don't even know if I want to do another F1 esports season, and that's
Mm.
mainly the thing that I have to decide. But there is always a chance, there is always a possibility, so nothing excludes this thing.
Well, it's really exciting, especially the jump from Ferrari to Jean Alesi to Lamborghini. Like those are big names that it's kind of wild that that's where we've got to with sim racing. But give us an idea, like behind the scenes. Now, I know you can't talk about details of contracts and stuff, but just give us an idea of the processes that you go through. Who reaches out to you? Are you traveling to factories for meetings? Like, how does it work when when you decided that you wanted to leave Ferrari? Like, when did that process start? And then how did you get in touch with Jean Alesi? And I'm just really interested to know kind of behind the scenes what actually happened to make this move all the way across to Lamborghini.
Yeah, so I can, well, I will be pretty rapid. I don't want to stop myself too much in this thing, but I wanted to tell you that uh, I was already in Jean Alesi in 2018, and when this happened, it was the year that I was qualified for the first time for F1 Esports. So I got approached by my manager Matteo Miyakawa, which was the manager of Jean Alesi esports team. So he came to me, like I received a call, and he comes and say, listen, I have this academy that I'm opening together with Jean and other people. We would like to have you as a driver for F1. And there I accepted. Of course, I got to know many people, many teammates, uh, and then of course it was, you know, the first step. After that, of course, with Ferrari, which is a bigger company, nothing to take out from Gianalesi, but of course, you know,
Mm.
it's a bigger company. It's more complicated. So especially like from my point of view, it was very stressful because after I got picked from them, you know, there was a very long process of, you know, contracts, especially because I was 17 years old, so it's even more of a mess. uh, you you can probably understand how difficult it is to get a contract with a minor, but everything got underway luckily. But you know, something that people don't understand is that even if it's just video games, all this stuff that it's behind it, like contracts, team sponsors, it's exactly the same. So it's not, when you sign a contract for an esports team, it's not like signing a blank page, like a blank paper. It's actually very important stuff. There is also legal stuff behind it, so it's not a joke. And this is something that people still, as of today, probably don't actually understand, but I can guarantee that everything that's behind it, it's very serious.
And how has that been to learn? So, when you become a sim racer and you get to this level, like what's do you have like a support network that's helping you look at contracts and make sure that you're making the right decisions? And I know you have an internal team now. Obviously, you have Alex Botero as your coach, who was obviously at the SRO event, and you have this kind of internal team around you. But do you have like an external team? Do you have someone that you can turn to and say, all right, I've just been given this contract, it's going to, when I go from Jean Alesi to Lamborghini or Ferrari to Jean Alesi, whatever it is, can you look at it? Is there any, like, almost like a manager? Is that something that sim racers are starting to need?
Well, I think most of the sim drivers already have this, you know, manager figure that you're saying. I have it as well, for example, and I think it's something that if you don't already have it, it's needed because, as I told you, it's when it comes to, you know, getting under a contract with a team, you need to be careful. You need to look, like to see everything. It's not just you read the contract and you sign it. So of course, a team of people who, you know, do this for you and tells you maybe it's not a good choice. Okay, it's a completely good thing to do. It's good, you know, so that you don't find yourself in a very bad situation, or you don't find yourself in the team you didn't want to be, for example.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's fascinating how far it's come and how much there is to it now. So let's skip forward then to Lamborghini, which is an incredibly exciting team to kind of break onto the esports scene. How has that been as a relatively new team to join? Obviously, you must have brought quite a lot of kind of esports expertise to that team as a driver.
Well, it was a very similar situation of 2019 when I joined Ferrari, because even back then, it was a new team, not a lot of expectations, and I kind of found the same thing here. Of course, the team already existed last year. Like they made their debut in the SRO endurance season last year. But I found almost the same environment, I would say. Like a lot of people that want to learn about our world, and everyone, of course, wants to do a very nice job. And I enjoyed very much this first months here, because of course everyone wants to do well, everyone is very committed, and I got to know also a lot of very good people, which is, I think, one of the most important things in this sport.
And what's Lamborghini's vision for the esports team? Like, what's the goal? Like, have they got an idea of like, right, in 5 years' time, we want to be here, here, and here. We want to be doing SRO, and we want to be doing, the iRacing endurance races, or like, what's the plan? Because it can't all. It's presumably not just SRO, as great as SRO is.
Yeah, of course. So this year, of course, we just focused on SRO. So we will just do the endurance season, the Sim Pro, and the Sprint Online. Then after that, when these championships are over, especially looking also at the results, the team also, I think, will get to see also if it's a good thing to do other kind of competitions on iRacing, for example, R Factor, or other simulators. But for this year, the only project is focused on ACC. So it's what we are doing this year. Then from next year, we will see. At the moment, this is our plan.
And how about things like the Sim Racing Expo as like a one-off event, as a sort of thing you might try and qualify for, or Rennsport? How about things like that? Is that something that's on the radar for Lamborghini?
Well, it can, like, it might happen. For example, for Rennsport, of course, we need to see how the simulator evolves as well. Because, for example, when I was in Ferrari, I was fascinated by Rennsport when it came out, and they did like the summit and all
Mm,
they presented the championship and everything. But of course, with certain brands at the launch of the game, which is not even complete at the time being, you never know, like, if your car is going to be there, all the agreements with the manufacturers and everything. So of course there is a process behind before actually getting to race in these kinds of championships. But Sport, for example, it's something I would really love to do, and I definitely will suggest it to the team. But as I said, the plan for this year is just on ACC, and then from the next year, we will just see.
And Sim Racing Expo as an event, does that feature on your calendar as almost like an engagement thing to go and do, or not at all?
Well, to me personally, it's something that I would like to attend. But also in the previous years, I kind of wanted to attend it, but I didn't have the chance. Maybe this year with Lamborghini, I mean, maybe this time with Lamborghini, I can attend it.
Mm. So tell us about the stuff that you have to do for Lamborghini that isn't driving. How you were talking about the Ferrari project and how they were getting you involved with the engineers and the academy team, and you were very kind of woven into the rest of the fabric of Ferrari. What's what's Lamborghini's approach for you as a driver? Is it all focusing on driving, or do you go and do kind of like media duties, or do you get involved around the factory, or do you help out the other drivers who are racing in the Pro Series, for example?
Well, this is the plan, of course. It's not just focused on racing. The first time that I met the team as well in Monza, it was made clear that they wanted, like, the team wanted to give us to the drivers the opportunity, like, to become also, let's say, ambassadors of the teams
Yeah.
of the team. And it's something that I would really love to develop, because as a as a even a person, not just a driver, it's something that I would be very proud to be. And this year we still don't have any plans for activities, but I'm pretty sure that my teammates already had some activity with the team. Unfortunately, I was out of business for 2 to 3 weeks before the race in Paul Ricard, so I wasn't able to attend the activities. But they already started with some of them.
Nice. Well, yeah, that sounds like a fun part of it as well. And it must be nice, I guess, given how much time the pro sim racers such as yourself spend in the rig, when you get told actually on Thursday next week we're all going to go off to wherever to do something else, do you get that sense of like, oh, that would be nice actually, just a day out of the rig?
Well, yes, of course, but when there is not enough, like when there is a tiny amount of time to prepare a race, of course, I would
Mm,
I would love to stay on the simulator, even if I don't want to be there. I still want to be on the sim, but when there is time, of course, it's something that I enjoy to do, because, as you said, of course, you are in your all the time in your house, like in your room, training for a specific race, and then when you get that day off to do that activity, that experience, it's something that everyone would enjoy.
yeah, yeah, I bet. And talking of preparation, Spa 24 hours in a couple of weeks' time, or 3 weeks' time, I think. It feels like Paul Ricard was yesterday, but I reckon Spa is going to come around really, really quickly. How is that going? When does the preparation start? What's your process for prepping for a race that's in this case like 3 weeks out?
Well, it's sometimes it's better when the race, like when there is a short amount of time to prepare a race, because you know that you have to train very hard for it, and you have to test everything as soon as you can, like do the setup, try the qualifying pace, trying the race pace, try in every condition. It's something that when you have pressure that you have to do it immediately, uh, you kind of do it better, let's say.
Mm,
So when there is a lot of time, you just stay in your simulator and be like, oh, okay, but there is time, like day after day, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
you actually arrive
Procrastinate.
at the day of the race, and you actually didn't do any. Well, this doesn't happen, but it's the mental approach that causes this certain thing. But the preparation, I think it's already well underway. For I think, well, looking at the track, I think it's going to be pretty similar to Paul Ricard. So with the setup, we won't have to do like a completely different thing. So we will already have a good base. The thing that is concerning me at the moment is that we did a check on the calendars, and we discovered that unfortunately my real life race with the Formula Predators is literally clashing with the Spa race. And of course, I think it's pretty clear that I will race on Spa, and give up the race on the real cars. But it's it's uh, it's something that actually caught me in a wait. I think I cannot say this. Wait 1 second, because okay. Okay, let me just rephrase it then, because I got told one thing that I forgot. So I was saying, uh, so we don't have that much of stuff to do in the setup for Spa, as we already have a good base. The only thing that I did not expect was a clash with my real life event to attend in Spa, because it's in the same date. So unfortunately, I will have to not attend the Formula Predator race, and attend the Spa 24-hour race. Of course, it's my main commitment, the simulators. It's what I decided to do. So I'm just a bit gutted to not attend a race in the real side. But it's okay.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. And is that something that's kind of on your mind as an ambition to one day move fully across to real racing, or is it's always going to be alongside the sim racing?
I feel like it's going to be alongside with simulators if it's going to be a full-time or part-time thing. Because growing up, I saw how the real motorsport works,
Mm,
and it's definitely something that unless you have like a huge opportunity, you cannot do like a full-time job. Like with simulators, like being completely honest, I earn money with the simulators, and I don't earn literally anything with the real cars. So this year I will
yeah.
have my first opportunity to jump on a real car on a real championship, but of course I'm not getting anything from it, and I even have to be thankful to the guys behind me, which are literally paying for my real career. But at the time being, I feel like if it's something that it's going to be part of my life, it's always going to be alongside Sims. It's not going to replace it anytime.
It sounds like a racer's dream though, to be able to like earn your living through sim racing and then spend that living on motorsport. It's like the full circle of just like the motorsport ecosystem that sim racing has given you.
Yeah, exactly. But if you think about it, it's not even necessarily a bad thing that that the real life racing at the moment, at least in my personal life, cannot replace Sims, because there is a lot of people trying to invest and trying to get sponsors to actually race on a real track. And then there is us sim drivers who are actually not even racing and getting money from it. So if you
Yeah.
thinking about it in this way, it's not even that bad.
And of course, you are building up experience of competing at a level. And although it's sim racing, not real world racing, it's pretty transferable, very transferable. And it's one of the greatest things about sim racing is how transferable the skills are between sim racing and motorsport. So you're definitely setting yourself up for success for if you wanted to then go on and do real motorsport. No, well, real motorsport makes that sounds bad, doesn't it? But real world motorsport. But I suppose that leads me to another question, which is, as a sim racer, is it difficult to plan ahead? Like, it always feels like every sim racer or every pro sim racer I speak to, they're never quite sure what's happening next year. And the year after that is a complete unknown. And they honestly have no idea if they were doing anything to do with sim racing at all in 5 years because it's so difficult to know what's happening. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, it's literally the same for me, and I think literally the same for everyone involved in this world. It's because mainly because of course you get, for example, a 1 year contract, and after that year you don't know if that team is still going to be there on the Sims, because this world it's still developing, and it's developing very
Mm,
fast. So you don't know if that team is still going to invest, or they will just go to another, they will just close the project. And there is a lot of things that you cannot control, so every year feels like it's going to be the last one, literally. But also when I was in Ferrari, for example, like I knew that F1 esports was getting bigger. I knew that Ferrari was investing on it, but you never have the wait, you never have the certainty that, wait, does it exist, certainty?
yes,
No.
certainty.
Okay. Okay. So you never have the certainty that the next year it's going to be like the same, or something huge will happen and you will be dropped. Like every year you need also to find, let's say, a plan B. So for example, we saw a lot of people, like also my former teammates, that decided to switch on another thing. Like they decided to become streamers. So they developed this thing of streaming together with racing. They get the fan base, and then when they decide it's time to move on, they just stop doing the sim driver for as a job, and then they just go streaming. And that's, for example, the main plan B that many people have. So answering to your question, yeah, I think it's for everyone. It's like this. Every year feels like the last one, because no one has almost no one has long term plans.
Mm. And what's your plan B?
Well, my plan B I already described you. I actually did some live streaming when in 2020. It went pretty good, I think. Right now, I'm not, let's say, developing this thing because I still have to decide if it's a thing that I want to commit for or not. But at the moment, I just want to enjoy racing, also with the real life racing this year. Then if I decided that it's time to look out for another opportunity. Also, this thing, like with simulators, you can get many opportunities throughout your career. So it can happen that, for example, during your season, you get an opportunity outside of simulators, maybe in the same team but for another mansion, and it's of course an opportunity that you can take and can lead you into a different career, into a different path that can literally lead you to a different job. You can literally just move on, and from simulators you can just do another job in the same team, for example.
We've discussed quite a lot the stresses, the uncertainties, the requirements to understand things like contracts, the amount of preparation you have to do, the different setups and conditions that you're always testing, and then the competitive level that you're working at. So here's a question: do you enjoy it? Are you still enjoying it?
Well, at the moment, yes, but I had like a period of time where I was not enjoying it anymore, and I can say it without any problem. Last year, 2022, I was not enjoying it at all, mainly because some things have changed. As I told you, I wanted to switch to the GT racing, and my main commitment was still F1. And let's say I wanted to do it in a certain way, but the team wanted me to do it in a different way. So that was the time that where I was not enjoying it, and I think that reflected my performance of 2022 in the F1 esports season, for example, because I didn't perform well, and I most of the events I was attending just one race or two races maximum. I never done like the 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 three races of each event,
Yeah,
and that was because I was not enjoying it, so I was not performing well, and I didn't want to get out the points from the team, and I wanted to give also the chance to my teammates to show themselves in the races. That was the time, of course, where I think everyone gets this period of time where they think like, is do I still want to do this? Like, is it actually worth it? But sometimes it's just enough to maybe to get some fresh air, like I did, for example, and then you can find again yourself like willing to be racing and willing to do this.
yeah, that's interesting. Well, this has honestly been such a fascinating conversation. We've spoken to a lot of esports drivers, but I think your story, having moved from F1 to ACC and from Ferrari through Jean Alesi to Lamborghini, it's really kind of in parallel with what's happening in the sim racing world generally, and it's great to get like a behind the scenes feel for what it's like to truly be in that world. And the timing of moving from F1 to ACC is interesting as well, because a lot of people are saying that the F1 game that's about to come out is a huge step up in terms of the physics and the drivability and the overall quality of the game. So is that perhaps a reason why you're kind of exploring options to maybe do some F1 esports this year? Is it this kind of like this promise that we've all had that F1 is finally finally good again?
Well, it's not actually that. The thing is that my name, it's actually connected to F1 esports. Like I got a lot of attention when I won the F1 esports 2019 title. So of course, when you say David Tonizza, the first thing that comes in your mind is F1 esports. Of course, it's not SRO or GT World
Mm,
Challenge, because actually, as of today, I didn't win anything on GT World Challenge. Of course, I won some races, but like full championships, I still haven't won anything yet. So of course, my plan and what I would like to do is to keep my name connected to F1, but at the same time, I just want, to get the fame also in GT, because it's what I enjoy more. But as you said, the new game, it's a step up. So it maybe, I don't know, the first time that I will try it, I will love it, and I will decide to come back full time to F1. Who knows? But it can be something that I it can be something that I will consider, like that, how the game will be.
Great. Well, David, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Good luck with your preparations for Spa, and we'll see you at the 24 Hours of Spa for SRO.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and hopefully we will see again, as you said, in Spa. Maybe another interview. I'm up for it.
Great. Ideal. Brilliant. Okay, well, David, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Chat soon.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.